2 o'clock hour, where we get to look at business and what is happening on the national level as far as 2023-2024 plans are concerned. Now, civil society organizations yesterday expressed concern over the availability of funds to support the national budget for the 2023-2024 financial year. Now, under their umbrella organization, Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, CSBAG, members of these organizations point out that the country's revenue has continued declining, with a substantial portion of the budget going to service the growing public debt. Civil society organizations' concern come at a time when government has started debating the budget framework paper for 2023-2024 financial year. Now, let's first take a look at the story where CSBAG actually gave perspective on the national budget framework paper before we talk to Julius Mukunda with more details.
The total resource envelope for the financial year 2023-2024 is projected to increase from 48.1 trillion in 2022-2023 to 49.9 trillion. Sectors that are projected to take the lion's share of these funds include human capital development, which is projected to take 9.61 trillion, governance and security with 6.824 trillion, integrated transport infrastructure and services program with 4.6 trillion, while agro-industrialization is projected to get 1.499 trillion. There are some sectors whose funds are projected to receive the least allocations. These include innovation, technology development and transfer, which will receive 177 billion, mineral development, which will receive 38.5 billion, community mobilization and mindset change, which will receive 21.9 billion.
So this is going to affect issues to do with service delivery, especially from the Department of Community-Based Services at local governments.
And if local government does not have sufficient resources, even the monitoring of the parish development model, the extension services is going to be hindered.
CDC, the Curriculum Development Center's budget, has been given around 1.9 billion in the coming financial year, against a requirement of about 15 billion.
Whereas these budget preparations have been put in place, there are fears that the country will face challenges in raising the necessary funds to support this budget.
Trigger happy to celebrate, yes, the budget has gone up, but our concern should be how much is available for us to deliver, for government to deliver services to the common person.
This has been blamed on a number of factors like inflation, the rising public debt.
In this current financial year, interest payments account for 4.6 trillion, but in the coming financial year, we are going to see 6.1 trillion going towards interest payments,
as well as increased government expenditure.
We note that the recurring cost of running government operations, including wages, salaries, interest payments and commitment fees, continue to be higher than the development expenditure.
Civil society organizations want government to undertake a number of budgetary reforms if revenue is to be raised. These reforms include a drop in expenditure.
To fast-track the rationalization of MDS so that we eliminate the redundancies in the medium term and as well as reduce the cost of running government and improve efficiency.
As well as engaging in trade negotiations that can provide access to markets required for goods manufactured in Uganda.
These include the Continental Free Trade Area. The negotiations are still going on in key areas like investment, e-commerce, all those issues around the digital economy. We need to be there.
Joyce Nakato, NTV Weekend Edition.
Well, thank you so much to our news desk for compiling that report. Now, I'm joined by a representative of the civil society organizations, and that is under CSBAG, Julius Mukunda. Happy New Year, and you're most welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to the viewers and listeners.
Does it seem to be a happy new year for us in terms of the budget framework? It doesn't look so promising. And looking at the theme, will the financial year 2023-2024 budget priorities deliver the needed economic recovery and social transformation? This was the theme of the press that you had yesterday at your offices. And we want to understand, because there was a statement that was made there, it's practically shooting yourself in the foot before arrest. What does that mean?
No, Not much of that, but the biggest challenge we are facing currently is that the country, we have so many problems that are coming in, one after the other. And it's like you are in an intensive care unit, and then as you get out, then you are again knocked by the car, and then you go back in. So that's the kind of situation we are dealing with. So, you know, we had this COVID for so long, then as we are getting out, you know, there is this Russia and Ukraine, you are trying to get out, the Ebola come in, then you're trying to get out, drought also comes in. So it's a crisis after a crisis.
Of gas increase.
Gas, inflation comes in. So it's crisis after the crisis. So managing crisis really becomes a day-to-day business. But it also requires you to behave differently. If you're in a crisis, you just don't, you know, think that things are normal. And as such, this is a budget that has been made in a crisis season situation. But we think we could do better. There are things that we could really fix. They have tried. For example, is that we've seen revenues growing. Surprising. There's some of the things that surprise you in this economy. That URA actually has, we thought that we've got a surplus of around like 300 billion. But, I mean, exports have also increased. You are wondering what's happening. You think the shilling is appreciating, not very strongly, but it's stabilizing. We would have expected it to go down. Inflation, which was going up, we have seen now it has stabilized also, even the prices have gone down. But fundamentally, I think there are things we need to do in this country that can help us really stabilize even better. Okay,
so Mr. Mukunda, what is making us look unprepared for the takeoff 2023?
Because I think our priority, we have not really come to the right priorities in this country. One of them is organizing ourselves, especially for markets. This is the time where we should be very, very, very aggressive in trying to look for markets for this for our products. This business of relying on our neighbors when they wake up in a bad mood and then they cross borders, it should stop. We should be able to say every ambassador in this country, one of the key performing indicators is how much Ugandan products are being sold in your country. That's the number one. And facilitate them to do that. Some of these ambassadors are using Uber in those particular countries. They have no operational money to run their offices. So we must strategically fund them. Once you do that, then all these pineapples on the streets that are rotting on the streets, all these eggs and milk which Kenya does not want, we can send them to those particular places. That's number one. We are not prepared because the way we spend money. I mean, recently we just seen that the recent quarter release for local government, almost 90% of the money is for wage and non-wage. So when are you going to develop if you spend so much money on operation? We are not prepared simply because some things in the budget needs to completely change. I saw a figure of 432 billion for meadows, but it's, I think somebody missed the point. It's supposed to be 4.3 billion.
Oh, according to you, you think they missed the point,
but to me, really, I'm like, would really this be the time to do such a thing? I'm thinking, no, it's important.
To
fine.
Incur such costs.
It's important. Fine. I'm not saying we should not have meadows. We can. But we can still have them tomorrow, the next financial year. But this year is to consolidate, save the little money that we are having, put more money in where we want it to be. For example, PDM. You see, PDM, we've been castigating it, but it is supposed to be a very transformational program. We need to put the money there, but also arrest thieves. Put the money to arrest the thieves that are eating the money. But if it is a business of you've stolen PDF money and then you sit on the table and negotiate.
To understand this, yes. You are saying that PDM money should be put there, but also a different amount of money should be put to arrest the thieves that are stealing the PDM money?
See, if you want a CID officer to chase thieves, he must or she must be facilitated to do that. You don't want to go to a CID officer who say, the money has been stolen, and he say, please, first bring me photocopying paper for me to start writing for your statement, or I don't have fuel even in my motorcycle to go and arrest the thief. That's what we talk about. We want the Auditor General also to have enough money to audit books and ensure that actual money went to the right beneficiaries. So when we don't do those things, then we tend to behave as if we are still in a normal situation. And yet we're in a crisis. Everybody knows that. If you look at our debt, for example, our debt has increased simply because of these crises. We didn't have enough resources. We borrowed so much money. Now it is catching up with us. How? Simply because you can say the budget has increased from 55 trillion to now we are coming to 50 trillion by the way, because it's 49.9 point something. But despite the increment, the money available for us as a government to spend on our own needs has reduced by 2.5 trillion. Why? Because it has increased, but now we must pay the debts that we have in this, that we have.
From the press, you get to see some of the concerns that civil society has. High public expenditure. That is not going to change. One, considering, I mean, life has become expensive as it is. So everything has increased.
By the way.
And therefore, expenditure has to grow fat.
No, it shouldn't be. This is the time to cut. Because, again, that's what we're talking about. We are in a crisis. Everybody understands we are in a crisis. But you still want to buy a vehicle of $1 billion shillings.
I still must have this civil servant or public servant to be driving a vehicle. That's
Very
the
good.
point. But the fuel prices have gone up.
No, but not a vehicle of $1 billion.
On the vehicle have also gone up. So it still comes down to the same thing.
No, ours is, I want my civil servant to be facilitated very well and execute and deliver on his or her mandate. But what does it cost me to do that? Should it cost me $1 billion, or it can cost me less than that? I think that, for me, that is the whole argument. I don't want a civil servant sitting in an office and he can't even make a phone call. So the cost of running government must seriously reduce. So this business of waking up, you are creating a new district, you are creating a new sub-county, these mushrooming agencies that were supposed to have rationalized, and now we are taking very baby steps to do that. It tells you that we are still living in a very bourgeoisie situation where we think the crisis is over. No, it is not.
Okay. So the recommendation here, Parliament should request for the Ministry of Public Service in this financial year 2023-2024 strategies to fast-track the rationalization of the MDS to eliminate redundancies in the medium term, reduce the cost of running government, and also improve efficiency.
We are losing close to 1 trillion on these agencies. If we would rationalize them,
okay, before we look at what we are losing, let's assess what they have done so far as agencies. Don't you think that they have done a better job being independent of ministries than they would have done if they were still under ministries?
Let me give you a practical example, and then we'll do it. Public Service Commission recruits government servants. Head Service Commission recruits civil servants. The Teacher Service Commission, Education Service Commission recruits civil servants and teachers. Why can't we have one department to recruit these guys? You would save money. You can even do better. Okay. But here, everybody is going to have a system of recruitment, their own board members. All those are costs on me and you, the taxpayer. So all we say is, have one-stop center where everything can be done. And I'm telling you, we would improve on efficiency, we would reduce on the cost, and ultimately it is the service delivered on an ordinary person that matters more than anything else. Okay,
Mr. Mukunda, as we wait that, let's talk about the stock of public debt. As of June 2021, the share of public debt stock to the gross domestic product has increased from 46.90% to 48.4% in June 2022. And this is partly driven by the Uganda's focus on borrow on non-concessional terms with unlimited or untimely increases in the cost of borrowing, and then there's so much spending at the same time going on with these debts coming in. So your recommendation is to call on government to cap on borrowing, but it's the same government that is borrowing to save themselves.
That's a nice one. I think with debt management and sustainability, the beautiful part is that it's now a public debate. We are no longer on, oh, you know, we are not sustainable, or we are sustainable. No, it's a public space. The fact of the matter is, right now we can still pay. But the rate at which we are likely not to pay is increasing. Why? Because if you find that a portion of your domestic revenue, generated revenue, more of it is going to serve debt, and it is not reducing, it is increasing, then you begin now to worry. You say, okay, today I can pay. I don't think government can afford to pay. But what about tomorrow, next week, and the other week? What is likely to happen? So that one now is a fact. Nobody is debating about that. The second one is that when you find yourself having less discretionary spending, and just because you want to make sure that the debts are paid, despite your budget increasing, then you begin to worry about your ability to pay tomorrow. You don't want to do the Ghana way, where you come up and say, okay, things are not good. So what we are saying now is, instead of going for this, because borrowing, I don't think we are like it, so, but instead of going for these commercial loans, let's go for these long-term, 40 years. A government shouldn't go for a loan of 2 years, 3 years. That is for me and you. That's number one. Number two is get out of the domestic market. Because if you get out of the domestic market, it means that these banks that are here will have now enough money for the private sector, and even interest rates are likely to reduce. As a government, you have capacity to negotiate with any other multinational institution, but get prepared and start early, because my understanding and experience is that it can take you a year to negotiate a World Bank loan. So you need to start very early. You don't just rush into the bank hall and say, please, I want a loan. No. So I think those are the facts, and that's the reality, that if we do not do something now, our ability to pay tomorrow is highly questionable.
Okay, well, that relates to the high budget cuts affecting service delivery
Yes.
for the vulnerable Ugandan.
So that's where we have a problem. If we are cutting the budget for purposes of ensuring that you fit within your available resources, you don't cut each and everything. You only cut where you think the returns to investments are extremely very low. So for, let's say, Uganda National Bureau of Standards, you know, its budget has been cut for almost by 30%. But already we know that without these guys, you cannot go and sell anything outside Uganda. So it's time not to cut their budget, but actually as part of your strategy to improve marketing of a product, to ensure that they get enough money to be able to make sure that everything that is produced and is for export, but also everything that is produced internally is safe for any human being for consumption. So you see that's now our challenge. So probably we should have been able to say, look at those expenses like the medals that we're talking about. We should have been able to look at the funding for new projects. There are some new projects here, like for example SGR. Let me tell you, SGR, though it is good, but I don't think we have the capacity to start it right now. Maybe we should have invested more in the lake transport or the water transport from Kisumu to Nakauko. So those are the things that you need to be doing, but you just don't blanketly cut. Some people's budget have been cut by almost 80%. So there should be some rationale on how we cut and who and what we cut. And then I think that can help.
The vision that we want to attain, or the goals that we want to attain.
Definitely, because if you cut money for agriculture for heaven's sake, I mean, you shall get into more problems than what we are planning to solve. So for me, is the rationale of budget cuts is very key and very important.
Okay, all right. Also, assessment for the budget framework paper for this financial year 2023-2024 is the unstructured investment for women's economic empowerment, for which you have a concern equally.
Yes, because we are seeing that the Women Entrepreneurship Program, its budget has also reduced. We are seeing social the program for the elderly, their budget have almost reduced by 50%. And you see, these are specific grants that targeting specific vulnerable groups. And when you don't do that, if you don't cushion them, then for any slight disaster, currently our poverty rate is at 22%. Let me tell you, it just can shoot to 30%. So they were specifically put there to cushion the vulnerable groups from external shocks. So you don't want to remove those ones. And I think that's very critical and very important. So we are hoping that really, as we debate this, there could be some change over allocations, and we are able to ensure that those affirmative programs really remain in place.
Well, speaking of affirmative, we do have the Ministry of Health. As of this morning, in the Daily Monitor that is in front of you, there's a story in there of the Ministry of Health seeking for funding to be able to curb or prepare themselves for the next Ebola outbreak. And in one of your recommendations or assessments here, non-functionality of medical equipment in health facilities. Let's look at the health sector and what can be done to actually reorganize the health sector to be able to support what is presently available in the presence of the current budget, but also not handicap the Ministry of Health at the same time.
There are two major problems I find with the Ministry of Health. Number one is lack of preparedness. As a ministry, you would understand that there are pandemics and epidemics all the time. Like how we plan for disasters. So you should be able to plan for that, and I'm very sure there's a department for that. What is its performance and functionality? We are surrounded by, Ebola, we know that it has been in the neighborhood, for example, and that of recent there are so many activities in the neighborhood. So
in DR Congo?
Yes, you don't wait for that. So in this financial year, you definitely have to budget for that. In fact, you would reduce your budget from other things and put the money there because you know the likely event, the possibility of getting that is very high. Number two is that the preparedness is in terms of, you just can't construct a health unit and you forget to plan for its personnel and medicine. It doesn't make sense because an ordinary person doesn't want just a building, he wants services at the building. So if you see that that's a health center that we're talking about, you put a neutral modern theater, but it has no personnel. So who is interested in a theater that doesn't have personnel? I mean, you saw the pictures of Kanungu, and I mean, and people are telling, look, this is a hospital, not a health center, but just a hospital. So you really want to ensure that when you are planning for a health center, you plan it holistically, knowing that it will never function if it doesn't have a tap of water, for example. It won't happen if it doesn't have electricity or solar connected to it. So I think for me, that's my biggest challenge. So what happens is that we try to build so many, but very few are functioning. Instead of concentrating on a few, and make sure they function, and then you go to another one. So that's my biggest challenge with the Minister of Health.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Mukunda, allow us to take a short break. When we return, we want to pick it up from food insecurity because just last year we had so many conversations here in Morning at NTV regarding food insecurity and how this could actually be affecting the financial year 2023-2024 budget framework paper. Stay with us.
You're watching Morning